The air in La Selva hung heavy, thick with the scent of stale cooking oil, exhaust fumes, and the unspoken weight of generations of resignation. Buildings hunched, shoulders bowed, their concrete skins scarred with cracks and peeling paint, like old wounds that refused to heal. Gray was the predominant color, relieved only by the grimy streaking of rain and the faded sun-beaten reds of forgotten political posters. Hope here was a whispered rumor, a distant memory, rarely seen in the weary eyes of its inhabitants. This was the canvas Lucia Moretti had chosen. Not the clean white stretch of a gallery wall, but the brutal, honest facades of La Selva. Lucia was a storm of quiet intensity, her heart a volatile palette of defiance and compassion. Her hands, calloused from years of gripping spray cans and brushes, were capable of both delicate strokes and bold, sweeping gestures. Her art wasn't about fame. It was about breath. It was about injecting a vital, vibrant pulse into the dying heart of a place that the world had forgotten. Her first target was the side of the abandoned textile factory, a gaping maw of broken windows that overlooked a patch of dirt where children occasionally tried to play. Lucia worked under the cloak of night, her movements fluid and practiced, a ghost against the shadows. The rhythmic hiss of her spray cans cut through the oppressive silence, a secret symphony of creation. She didn't paint slogans or political messages. She painted life. Her first mural was a towering, stylized tree, its roots cracking through the concrete, its branches reaching skyward, heavy with luminous, impossible fruits. Beneath its canopy, a cluster of children rendered in warm sepia tones looked up, their faces alight with curiosity. It was finished by dawn, a sudden, shocking burst of emerald and gold against the factory's drab grayness. The morning brought whispers. Children on their way to school stopped dead, their eyes wide. Adults paused, coffee cups halfway to their lips, a flicker of something unreadable, surprise, suspicion, awe, crossing their faces. The tree, vibrant and defiant, stood silently, a challenge and a promise. Lucia watched from a distance, hidden in the shadows of a crumbling archway. She knew the seeds of change were slow to germinate in such barren soil. She expected resistance, defacement, or worse. But nothing happened. The mural simply existed, a vibrant anomaly in a monochrome world. Leonard, a man whose face was a roadmap of La Selva's history, deep lines etched by worry, sun, and too many unmet expectations, was one of the first to truly see it. He ran the small, perpetually understocked bodega at the corner. His hair was thin and white, his shoulders stooped, but his eyes, though often clouded by weariness, held a sharp intelligence. He leaned against the graffiti-covered shutter of his shop, observing the mural with a critical, almost resentful gaze. He'd seen 100 initiatives come and go, all promising salvation, all delivering only more disappointment. This graffiti, he thought, was just another fleeting distraction. But then he saw June. June was 10, wiry and quiet, with a mop of unruly dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. She lived above the bakery, her days a monotonous cycle of school and helping her mother. June stood before the tree mural, not just looking, but inhaling it. Her small hand reached out, not to touch, but to trace the outline of a child's face in the air. A slow, tentative smile stretched across her lips, a rare blooming in her usually serious demeanor. Leonard, watching her, felt a strange, unfamiliar tug in his own chest. Lucia continued her work, a clandestine campaign of color. A wall near the dilapidated community center bloomed with a swirling vortex of deep blues and purples, depicting a constellation of hands reaching out to each other. Another, on the side of a collapsed building, transformed the rubble into a vibrant mosaic of shattered dreams reforming into new possibilities. Each piece spoke of connection, resilience, and the inherent beauty of life, even in the harshest environments. The whispers grew louder, tinged now with a nascent curiosity, a fragile hope. Children started talking about the color woman. They played games where they imagined the murals coming to life. But it wasn't just children. People started noticing the art and, by extension, each other. Small conversations erupted around the murals, breaking the long-standing silence. One evening, Lucia was halfway through a new piece, a flock of iridescent birds taking flight from a rusty water tower, when she heard a soft cough. She froze, her heart hammering. Turning, she saw Leonard, holding a small brown paper bag, standing a respectful distance away. "You're Lucia, aren't you?" he asked, his voice raspy but calm. "The baker's boy told me. Said he saw you sketching last week." Lucia nodded, her guard up. "And you are Leonard." He simply nodded back. He extended the bag. "Coffee. And some of Maria's churros. You work all night, you need sustenance." Lucia took the bag, the warmth of it spreading through her chilled fingers. "Thank you." "Why?" Leonard asked, his gaze sweeping over the nascent mural. "Why do you do this in a place like this?" Lucia paused, considering her words carefully. "Because a place like this needs color most of all. It needs something to look up to, something to remind people that beauty still exists, even when everything else tries to tell them it doesn't." Leonard was silent for a long moment. He gazed at the half-finished birds, then at the vast gray expanse of the neighborhood he called home. "We used to have color," he murmured almost to himself, "before the factory closed, before the floods, before everyone stopped caring." He looked at Lucia, a glint of something awakening in his tired eyes. "Don't stop, girl. Not yet." His words were a slow-burning ember of encouragement that fueled Lucia through more nights. Leonard became her silent protector, leaving her coffee and snacks, sometimes even standing watch from his doorway. He still didn't overtly endorse her, but his presence was a shield. Then came June. Lucia found her one afternoon, sitting cross-legged before a finished mural, a vibrant cityscape where every building was a different jewel tone, and tiny figures danced on rooftops, tracing the lines with a twig in the dust. "It's beautiful," June said without looking up. "Like a dream." Lucia sat beside her. "Do you dream of cities like that, June?" June finally looked at her, her eyes wide and luminous. "I dream of places where the walls aren't sad, where people smile." She paused, then added, "My mother smiles when she sees your paintings. I haven't seen her smile like that in a long time." That was when Lucia knew her art was working. It wasn't about the paint. It was about the ripple effects, the tiny cracks appearing in the facade of despair. June started appearing regularly, not disturbing Lucia, but watching. She'd bring Lucia sketches she'd done on scraps of paper, crude but earnest drawings of imagined worlds where La Selva was bathed in light. Lucia would offer quiet critiques, encouraging her, showing her how to see the hidden colors. The change in La Selva was subtle but undeniable. People began sweeping their stoops with a little more vigor. A broken flower pot on a windowsill was replaced by a small, hardy geranium. Children, inspired by the murals, started drawing on the dusty pavements with rocks and chalk, their own nascent masterpieces brief but defiant. The authorities, initially dismissive of minor vandalism, started to take notice. Warnings were issued. Posters threatening fines for defacement appeared. But by now, the murals weren't just paint on a wall. They were an extension of La Selva's collective soul. When a council worker attempted to paint over Lucia's Tree of Life mural with a grim coat of institutional beige, Leonard, usually reserved, stepped in front of the wall, his stooped frame suddenly rigid. "You lay a brush on that and you'll have to go through me," he declared, his voice firm, echoing across the plaza. A crowd had gathered, drawn by the commotion. June stood at the front, her small fists clenched, her face a mask of fierce determination. Others followed Leonard's lead, forming an impromptu human barrier. The worker, bewildered by the unexpected resistance, retreated, promising to report it. This was the moment Lucia realized that La Selva transformed. It wasn't just her art anymore. It was their art. It was their hope. Lucia decided it was time for her most ambitious piece yet. Not on an abandoned wall, but on the facade of the community center itself, the central hub of La Selva, albeit a neglected one. This time she wouldn't work in secret. She put out a call, through June and Leonard, for anyone who wished to help. The response was tentative at first. A few curious teenagers, then a nervous mother with her children, then Leonard, armed with a bucket of water and a scrub brush. Slowly, a small army of volunteers gathered. Lucia gave them simple tasks: cleaning the wall, mixing paints, even helping with basic stenciling. She taught June how to hold a brush, how to mix shades of blue for the sky. The mural was to be a vast landscape of La Selva itself, but reimagined. The gray buildings were now shimmering in hues of ochre and terracotta, vibrant green plants spilled from windows, and a river of crystal-clear water flowed through the heart of the neighborhood, reflecting a brilliant, optimistic sky. People, rendered as joyful, dynamic figures, walked, talked, laughed, and danced through this new, improved La Selva. It was no easy feat. Days turned into weeks. Fatigue was constant, but so was a sense of purpose. Leonard, surprisingly energetic, organized food and water for the volunteers. He shared stories of La Selva's past, tales of a bustling community before the decline, rekindling a lost pride. June, now Lucia's official apprentice, was tireless, her enthusiasm infectious, spreading like wildfire among the younger children who flocked to watch. The authorities did return, this time with more formal warnings and even police. But by then, the mural was too advanced, the community's resolve too strong. When an officer tried to confiscate Lucia's supplies, Leonard calmly but firmly explained, "This isn't vandalism, officer. This is a neighborhood choosing to heal itself. You want to stop it, you'll have to arrest every one of us." The crowd murmured in agreement, their eyes reflecting a newfound courage. The officers, sensing the shift in the community's spirit, left with a final, impotent warning. The day of the mural's completion was a celebration La Selva hadn't seen in decades. The entire neighborhood gathered, a sea of faces, no longer weighed down by despair, but lit with anticipation. When Lucia added the final stroke, a tiny, hopeful butterfly landing on the hand of a painted child, a cheer rippled through the crowd. The mural was more than just paint. It was a mirror reflecting La Selva's truest self, its potential, its resilience. It became a focal point, a meeting place, a symbol. People started forming cleanup brigades, creating small community gardens, even planning a weekly hope market to sell local produce and crafts. The little geraniums on the windowsills multiplied. The children started playing on the now-swept streets, their laughter echoing off the vibrant walls. Lucia knew her work in La Selva was, for now, complete. She had lit a fire, but the community now had to tend it. One evening, she found June by the river mural, meticulously sketching in a worn notebook. "You're going to be an incredible artist, June," Lucia said softly. June looked up, a shy but confident smile gracing her lips. "I want to paint the other side of the community center now. Show the kids playing soccer, and the elders sharing stories." Leonard joined them, his gaze lingering on the mural. "She's right, Lucia. We have more stories to tell now. More colors to paint." He placed a hand on Lucia's shoulder. "Thank you for reminding us." Lucia nodded, a deep sense of peace settling over her. She knew she would move on, find other forgotten places, other gray walls waiting for a touch of color. But La Selva would forever be in her heart, a testament to the power of art, not just to decorate, but to ignite, to heal, to remind a forgotten world that hope, like a vibrant mural, can always break through. The walls of La Selva no longer whispered resignation. They sang a defiant, colorful song of rebirth. That will be all for today. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Goodbye.